Spectrum wants to hear your views. You can SMS at any time during the show. Type Spectrum, leave a space, type in your contribution and name, then send it to 7197. Your views, our interviews on Spectrum, Radio 1 FM 90.
Hello, a very warm welcome. This is Spectrum on Radio 1. I'm your host, Edmond. Kizito, good evening. On Spectrum tonight, inside of Parliament, accusations and counter-accusations of a signatures to recall Parliament, who is telling the truth considering the gravity of these accusations. A new scandal is playing out in Parliament, with the two sides, both for and against the recall of the House, to discuss matters that emerged following the death of Butaleja MP Serena Banda, accusing one another of engaging in acts of forgery. This scandal has emerged following a sudden decision by some members who had signed the recall petition to withdraw their signatures, with some claiming that their signatures were forged. The proponents of the recall petition accused the executive and a team of NRM MPs of arm-twisting legislators into withdrawing their signatures and going ahead to draft letters forwarded to the Speaker to remove those same signatures. By close of business yesterday, it was reported that up to 10 MPs had notified the Speaker's office about their desire to retract their signatures. This group, which has been heavily ridiculed for lacking a sense of proper judgment, is said to be acting under a new threat of being dismissed from the party. The NRM has decided to hold a 10-day retreat, and although the party says the retreat was planned 6 months ago, those wishing to recall Parliament say the move is a clear act of sabotage. The Legal Department at Parliament has been tasked to give an opinion on whether the retracting of signatures is actually lawful. In the 6th Parliament, an attempt by 17 members to remove their signatures as Parliament moved to censure the then Minister of Health, Jim Muhwezi, was quashed by the late Speaker, James Wapakabulo, who ruled that only a court of law can make such an order. Alongside this, concerns about the safety of MPs at Parliament and outside was reoccurred today as a poison scare swept around the August House. So tonight, we look at developments in Parliament and why MPs are trying to outdo one another by making accusations and counter-accusations. Our guest tonight, Honorable Ibrahim Semuju Nganda, Shadow Minister for Information and National Guidance. You're most welcome, Honorable Semuju.
Thank you.
Also joined by Honorable Dr. Kenneth Omona Olusegun, Kaberamaido County MP, member of the NRM team against recalling Parliament. You're most welcome, Honorable.
Thank you, and glad to be here.
Honorable Mona, signing today, withdrawing tomorrow. Why would an MP do such a thing?
Well, thank you very much, and belated Happy New Year to our listeners. As you put it, there are groups of members of Parliament that we have learned, have written to the Speaker of Parliament to withdraw their signatures. And what I'm not very sure of is if there's a common, uniform reason for doing this. Each of them may be having different reasons for doing that. But that's what I've learned taking place, that members are withdrawing their signatures with the claim that others say they were not privy to the content of the petition, the prayers of the petition were not given to them, and that they seem to have discovered that there are more prayers than they had appended their signatures for. And others, of course, have said, and indeed I think it's true, that the events, the prevailing circumstance now, does not necessarily call for a recall of Parliament, recall of members of Parliament from the recess. That issues, the claims or the issues that were apparent then have been overtaken by events, especially concerning the investigations in the death of the Honorable Nevanda and the subsequent issues that took place, like summoning of members of Parliament to make statements by the police, and that many of these members, one of the members who have been summoned by police, have actually made statements, and they are out of cells now, so they don't see any reason to urgently call Parliament to sit other than wait for the normal resumption of Parliament.
Are they being coerced? Phone calls in the night?
No, I don't think this is true, but of course everybody has got a right to examine decision everybody has a right to review his or her decision depending on this prevailing circumstance. I don't think anybody has given any claim or reported coercion by anybody, the leadership of their parties. For example, there is a honorable bill, I think it's of the UPC, who came out very, very openly and says his signature was forged. So I don't know, but I don't think there's any cohesion. Well, I don't want to talk on that side, but I don't think there's
You're
any...
not ruling it out either. It could be there.
Well, I don't know
about it.
But most importantly, what is coming out very, very clearly is that members are saying, from what they see now, there is surely no need, no urgency to recall members of parliament from the recess.
Honorable Nganda, is it allowed in law to sign and then withdraw?
Our rules of procedure don't provide for withdrawal of a signature. They assumed that members of parliament, because there are qualifications, both age and mental and academic, for one to join parliament. So the assumption is that a member of parliament is sane, and that's why you saw Professor Gilbert Bukenya today when he was being interviewed by one of the newspapers, that he was awake, his head is still functioning. So it is assumed members of parliament have integrity, and therefore they take critical and closer look at documents before they append their signatures. That's why the law, the rules don't provide for withdrawal and how it is done. Like you said, Jim was through, at that time it was Honorable Benedict Mutiaba and Honorable Patrick Chigun from Masaka Chotera. They are the ones who led the group of 17 to withdraw to save him. And the Honorable Speaker then, Wapaka, told them it's not possible. But this action, and that's the tragedy for this country, is not an action by these MPs. It is an action of the state. President Museveni holds a meeting at his residence in Rwachitura, attended by the Speaker of Parliament, by the Prime Minister, by the Vice President, by commissioners, Chris Wariomunsi, by Attorney General, and he said this Parliament must not sit. They tell him, please, the Speaker has no option. This is a constitutional matter on that first. And he says, you must find technicalities, Parliament must not sit. So Mike Mukula in that meeting says that they have even failed to correct signatures. They have 94. And he says, suppose they get them, you must find technicalities. Eventually, there was a group, as we are mobilizing for signatures, the group of Omona, Ogwang, Katoto, they are also moving and driving throughout the night, trying to ask MPs not to sign. There is no single MP who can claim that he didn't know something was going on at Parliament and he did not have information from both sides. But after the signing, because they were shocked, they went to sleep, they thought we were joking. And they started, you see, Omona even had a press conference here to say they have failed. Eventually, they were all shocked. They were taken by surprise when you submitted the petition. Then they started panicking. Eventually, what has happened is that the Honorable Rosina Mayanja, who is the Minister for Rural, but now acting Minister for Information and acting Chief Whip, sat down, I don't know whether with the Omona, and drafted letters for NRM MPs to go and withdraw the signatures.
Oh, yes. There
are MPs he called and he told them the letters are here, please come and sign. Those who were near came and signed after...
The letters were drafted by Honorable Mona?
By Honorable Rosina Mayanja.
Yes.
I don't know, because he was one of the very active NRM MPs mobilizing that Parliament should not sit. So eventually today, this morning, me and Honorable Nambos in the presence of one journalist, we spoke to the MP from PG, Honorable Nakawonde, and she said when they told me come and sign the letter already drafted, I told them I must go and consult my people. She said she was shocked to hear her name being read on a radio station that she has withdrawn. She contacted Honorable Bahati and complained, and Honorable Bahati said, you contact Honorable Namayanja. Honorable Namayanja said, please forgive me, I will come and explain, and Honorable Namayanja drove to her home to explain, please, I am the one who did it. Don't go to the media, don't expose me. So you are dealing, but not surprising, because the whole events happening after the death of Nevanda, does not present the government side as a credible people to work with. They sit in a meeting. Kaihura sends the director CID. They sit in a meeting in Murago with the director of Murago Hospital, with the Musana, with everybody, and they agree that samples should go to South Africa. The following day, they say the man is stealing samples.
Kaihura was there to sanction Dr. Nzibwa.
He wasn't there in that particular meeting. He sent the Grace Akuro, who is the director CID. In fact, the director CID in that meeting said that he has been told by government, by police, that Nzibwa was not in the post-mortem room. And Chris Wariomus tells them in that meeting, in the presence of David Bahati, the chief whip of NRM, that please look at me. Didn't I attend the meeting? Said you were there. What about Nzibwa? Those who had alleged that Nzibwa was not in the post-mortem room now changed it to say he did not take enough samples. And now they said, okay, now everything is okay, you can go. So you can see people are being micromanaged by State House. Even this Omona here is micromanaged. When he's told you go and address a press conference, he rushes. What he says there, he only thinks about it after he has said it. And that's why they are now fidgeting to record their own signatures. A member of parliament, you sign, and tomorrow you are saying that I didn't look at the documents I was signing. I mean, for God's sake, what do you want to take this country to be?
Honorable
yes.
Explain that cloud away.
Thank you. First of all, Honorable Semuju Nganda has been a commentator for a long time. And when he talks, it is very tempting to believe him. Now, what I want to inform our listeners and Honorable Semuju here is that the last time Parliament sat, the Minister of Internal Affairs had a chronological, had a narration, a narrative of, in a chronological manner of what actually happened up to a time when there was disagreement. Now, what Honorable Semuju Nganda is not telling the public here is that there was actually disagreement where the police side walked out of a meeting in discussing how to move on with these investigations. And this is very true, and we need to look at this. Now, secondly, I want to tell Honorable Semuju Nganda that I am not coerced to do anything, and many times I don't regret my actions. And actually, I also want to inform Honorable Semuju Nganda.
For the record, can you say
that again? I don't, many times, I don't regret my actions, many times.
And you never coerced?
No. Actually, what I do in the NF now, I have told you on the same radio here, I used to do before I became an MP, and nobody coerced me to do that. But that's it and done. I want to say this very clear, that it was the Honorable Semuju Ngandas who were moving in the night in the homes of members of Parliament, camping there to look for signatures. Actually, after Christmas, during Christmas, I was organizing for launching of rehabilitated power line in my constituency. The president came there. We launched one of the modern fish hatcheries in Kaberamaido. Now, when he came back here, we are trying to work on how to go and dialogue with the tobacco growers in the countryside. And actually, I went away to the western, Chivale, Hoima, Masindi, Budisa. That's where I was. Of course, what we are doing is not dissuading or simply forcing members of Parliament not to sign. What we are doing is to explain to our colleagues why surely don't see any urgent need to recall Parliament now. For example, when you recall Parliament, I may not be very sure of the figures here, but the financial implications on the institution of Parliament, that recall members from recess, the spending also goes up. Can't we use this money for some productive use? Bearing in mind that, one, because in many of these sheets, actually, they are talking about
high school. Let's go.
Yes, talk about.
We used to have debates.
They talk about.
Which is better than fair. Go.
One of the prayers that you see we must meet because there's an attack on the institution of Parliament.
Father is better than mother.
That you see there's an attack on Parliament, on the institution of Parliament. Yes, actually, what you find is that police is summoning our colleagues who have made certain statements or have conducted themselves in certain manner in public, that they need to go to police and make certain statements. Now, these statements were not statements of Parliament. These statements were attributed to them as individuals.
Now, but 7 MPs, there's no precedent to it. 7 MPs are summoned by Parliament.
No, there is
another MP dies.
No, it's possible. It's possible. A number can even go higher. Can be few. Maybe for the first time, there are involvement of that number.
Somebody sat here and told us more MPs are going to die.
No, but I think that's being pessimistic. That's unrealistic. Well, everybody has the right to say what he or she wants to say. But what I'm saying here is that we saw no need to urgently call Parliament. That one, these members of Parliament, those who have gone made statements to the police and actually are walking in freedom, and that the police is going ahead with investigations. Is it concerning about the death of a dear colleague? We know now that the government has formed an inquest committee that is supposed to go on in the further investigation about this. Now, surely some of us saw no urgent need to recall Parliament now, yet very soon Parliament will be normally resuming. So this is what we've been sharing with our colleagues, but it's not true that we are driving into homes of members of Parliament. Actually, it is also true that the signature collectors were the ones going to camp in homes of members of Parliament. But let me say also that it's also true that there are members who claim they were misled or they didn't understand the contents of this petition. They want to withdraw their signatures. Well, those are also there. The interpretation of whether it is possible or not, I think those are legal. But what's also true is that there are members who say their signatures have been forged. It's now like a bill who actually spoke to the media. A bill is a member of the UPC. So it doesn't mean even the NRM forced anybody. But the concern Semuju is raising about the President Museveni. You know, President Museveni is also the chairperson of the NRM party, and he has all the right and actual responsibility of guiding the party. So when the President invites members of his party to his home, or gets audience with them, I think this is normal. And
to give you some guidance.
Yes, it has also happened actually with the Dr. Besige, the Semujus. I'm sure also see it sometimes.
He calls them and says personal.
No, whatever it is, but I'm sure as a head of a leader of the party, I think it is normal to give guidance to your people, and this should not be looked at in bad faith. Okay, and actually, I would encourage other parties to be, regularly focusing, meeting, and crafting best way forward to manage the affairs of the country. Yes, but beginning to say we are coerced and so. I mean, surely, with the due respect, Honorable Semuju,
you're grown up men and women.
I am grown up, a medical doctor with 6 years to become a practitioner. I mean, it takes a lot.
And some children at home.
And children at home. So I think this is I think this is an insult.
See, when the history of this country is written, people of the next generation will wonder which sort of fathers and parents that came before them. You had an incident here of the military invading court, and the case was lodged in courts of law. The Court of Appeals, Constitutional Court, made a ruling about the military and security invading court. One of the judges, whose way of seeing things is not very different from Omona, my friend Honorable, said it is okay for the military, and that was Justice Kavuma. He said it is okay. It is okay for the military to invade his own court. The president addresses the media, and he says these fellows who are hiding in the parliament, we can get them. If they want, they can go and hide in the American embassy. I don't know whether Honorable Omona has read the laws that establishes parliament, including the immunities of members of parliament. It is in parliament where you can say anything. In fact, the law doesn't allow you to arrest an MP who is too off from parliament. The law doesn't allow you.
Yes.
But the president says they can only hide in the US embassy, not in our parliament. The parliament of Uganda. We're talking about matters of rule of law and constitutionalism.
What are they trying to draw? Court and parliament?
No, I'm just looking so that you have people like Omona in the court. Even in the parliament, don't be surprised that they are there. Even when it is in home under attack, he thinks it is okay not to discuss his own existence. Because I don't know about the existence of parliament as an institution. Your own speaker, the president said, okay, these honorables, these titles, I will send the police, they will can salute and question her. Maybe the speaker was going to be the one arrested next. You have members of parliament.
You think the speaker was going to be arrested?
That's what we think, because the threats were issued.
No, that's
You have members of parliament sanctioned by the speaker of parliament and later by a decision
From
of
parliament
parliament.
or from outside of parliament?
Wherever, because he said you can only hide at the US embassy, but the immunity is a law that establishes parliament, says MPs have immunities. You cannot arrest them when they are in parliament. When we make statements in parliament, they are privileged statements, but this privilege is going away. And
But how about statements
like
made?
monkey, they say when the forest is on fire, it is clapping and
No,
laughing.
maybe I need to ask honestly.
Therefore, if you can allow me, because you had time to say
Statements made outside parliament.
there are procedures of arresting MPs.
Yes.
I have been summoned, I have been in Luzira. You have never seen anyone recording in parliament, because the proper procedures were followed. Someone is dropped at the speaker of parliament, I go to police and they arrest me, except when you find me committing a crime. But people can't go to the post-mortem and then someone issues a threat. But the other point I want to make, because as I said, in the judiciary you have them. When it touches Mr. Museveni, they would rather bring down the judiciary for him to stay, because everything done by people like him is to ensure that Mr. Museveni remains in power. When he is under challenge, they would rather sacrifice themselves, sacrifice the institution they are serving for his own comfort. I am really shocked that a member of parliament does not see anything wrong in threatening the speaker of parliament, in arresting members of parliament officially appointed by the speaker to represent the institution of parliament, in finding out what killed a colleague. I am shocked, but this country is not short of those people, so we have seen them before. The forgeries, you see, we are very thorough. As you said, actually went to MPs' homes, because MPs are in recess. There is one MP, I will not mention her name. We even went to her home. She provided us with drinks, with everything.
And you took those
and now she's saying her signature also was forged.
You took those drinks.
We even went to Luzira to get the signature of someone who is incarcerated.
Yes.
We went to see Honorable Omoro, who is hospitalized. He said, I can't write. And he said, you bring an ink pad. We took it and he put his thumb.
His thumbprint.
If we wanted to forge, why wouldn't you forge a signature of an MP who is in that state, and the one who is in prison who would not address a press conference? A bill, surprising, and you said is UPC. When he reported, he first went to the NRM chief whip's office to report that his signature has been forged. And who accompanies him at a press conference? Ogwang, who was addressing a press conference with Omona that MPs shouldn't sign. But I can tell you, this parliament, for the time I have covered parliament as a journalist, there is a little bit of a change, but you still have those MPs. One Kenyan MP came here and he said the Ugandan parliament, if there is a decision that parliament must be dissolved and they go home, as long as it is Museveni proposing, they will do so and go home. And I think Omona will find pleasure in doing so. Therefore, the reason we want parliament to come back, it is not to discuss the death of Honorable Nevanda. It is not to find out what killed Honorable Nevanda. It is to discuss the breaking of laws and rules and constitution by the executive, and by the attempt by the executive to usurp the powers of parliament and remove the immunities that are guaranteed by the law. If colleagues think those immunities should be removed, they can also sponsor a motion. It is very easy. Sponsor a motion, but the biggest crisis that NRM has, and I hope they will discuss it in Changwan, is that you have the Omonas, the newcomers, who are very opportunistic.
By the way,
they are looking at appointments.
I'm not a new. I'm not a newcomer in NRM.
In the meeting, you remember the meeting the president had.
Newcomer in parliament.
You are a newcomer in the NRM. You know where it came from. You see, the NRM you are talking about, when it was being formed at National Conference Center, one of their organs is historical members. So Honorable Martin Wandera, who was one of the founders, and actually your name was not in the constitution of the founders.
He must not be a founder.
He actually asked,
an old member.
how can a new party have
an FDC?
Yeah, and that's the reason he left. He said, how can a new party have a historical members league? And some seven told him, please, this thing was formed long ago. So I'm not talking about this NRM we joined yesterday. I'm talking about this NRM, the Otafire, the Mbabazi, the Mushega formed long ago, not this one you joined and you think you are not new in NRM. That is the one that made Honorable Martin Wandera depart with NRM. They told him this thing was...
By the time NRM was formed, I was already in NRM.
Therefore, the point I am making is that we want Parliament to come and discuss. For us, we think these are serious matters. When you have the executive threatening the legislature. But if my colleague doesn't think these are serious matters, it is okay. So he went, mobilized the MPs not to sign, they sign. They say the first thing, they will not get the signature. When they realize you are getting the signatures, they are about to forge them. You see, this forger doesn't start now. They have been sending SMS messages and he knows it. Forging signatures in full gear. Please, members, be aware. These things are not starting now. See, you found us were very alert. Even sick people went there. Even those in prison, you went there. So this was an own goal. You must consider and then plan for the next course of action.
Honorable Omona, to your defense.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to inform Honorable Semuju that the NRMO, which is not a political organization, that's now participating in the struggle.
It's a very new thing.
New thing, but there is the NRM, the NRM with the revolutionary background. I have been in the NRM actually for more than 10 years before. As soon as the NRA came to power, I was a very active young man, and I started learning about the NRM. I did it long ago.
But 10 years they came to power. 27 years ago.
Semuju was
actually. I can't say that you were in
Semuju is the one who has jumped in political leadership recently.
And I don't deny, by the way.
But
I have joined politics just about 3 years ago.
Very, very clear.
I am not like you who is old in NRA.
I am not.
You joined 10 years ago when the party you are talking about came here 27 years ago.
There's a transformation now of an ideological the revolutionary movement that now has transformed to participate in the multi-party kind of political arrangement. But I was in the movement before, so
you were senior in
I am not. I may not be a leader, but I am not new in NRM. So that's said and done. Let me say this: Honorable Semuju surely must know that the NRM. Some NRM MPs like us, we have also right.
We'll be back. This is Spectrum on Radio 1. We're going for a break. We'll be back to stay tuned.
Uganda Communications Commission is currently conducting nationwide mandatory SIM card registration. Register your SIM card in a few easy steps. Visit your telecom operator's customer care center or any other designated registration center and provide your phone number, a copy of a valid ID or any other valid ID with accompanying photograph such as a passport, driver's permit, voter's card, or a letter from your LC. Information on your physical address or residence will also be required. SIM card registration protects mobile phone users from incidences of fraud, incitement, terrorism, and hate messages, among others. Please note that SIM card registration is mandatory, and those who fail to register risk having their SIM cards deactivated. The registration deadline is 1st March 2013. All information shall remain confidential. Let's make communication safe. Register your SIM card today.
Discover the new invigorating taste of Red's Vodka Lemon. Red's Vodka Lemon. Reinvent the night. Not for sale to persons under 18.
Welcome to the MTN Service Center, sir.
Hey.
How can I help you?
We are here to buy MTN SIM cards.
Okay.
Meet my wife and my daughter and my son. This is my father, my mother and my cousin, Sirif.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Hey, I need even for my auntie piece. Hey, come close, auntie piece. Behind her is my mechanic and my newspaper vendor and my boss and the pastor.
Okay, sir.
This Christmas, buy an MTN SIM card to win free airtime for a year. Dial *188# to win. 250 winners will immediately be notified on SMS each day. Win free airtime for a year with MTN this Christmas. Terms and conditions apply.
And of course there is my brother, my Rectisian, my Bramba, and my Baba's best friend's girlfriend.
MTN. Everywhere you go.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
Welcome back on Spectrum tonight. Inside of Parliament, accusations and counter-accusations of our signatures to recall Parliament. Who is telling the truth, considering the gravity of these accusations? Our guest tonight, Honorable Ibrahim Semuju Nganda, Shadow Minister for Information and National Guidance, and Honorable Dr. Kenneth Olusegun Omona, Kaberamaido County MP, also member of the NRM team against recall.
There is actually no NRM team.
Yes.
There is just a group of opportunists.
Oh.
He should tell you which NRM meeting start to appoint them. It's not an NRM meeting. It's just a group of opportunists who want to parade themselves to be seen by the president.
What are they looking for?
Now this is where maybe Semuju contradicts himself. When you go to meet as a group of members,
because when you say NRM,
he says
there are NRM MPs who sign. Therefore, these are not a representative of NRM. We have NRM. There's just 60 opposition MPs.
So maybe you also.
So most of the folks are actually NRM.
They are NRM.
What's the latest news we have about the recall of the Parliament?
What I know is that the Speaker today had a meeting with the President.
Yes.
The President insists Parliament must not be.
What did the Speaker say?
We are yet to hear from the Speaker. We submitted the petition calling for the recall of Parliament, outlined the reasons and the prayers. We are waiting for the response from the Speaker. Before the Speaker has even considered the petition and the signatures to make a decision, they are addressing press conferences. They have forged so and so signature. The Speaker herself hasn't looked at the signatures and the prayers. But Omona knows who has forged, who should withdraw, and you see, that's the confusion that they are creating.
No, the other day,
and as I said, it's a group of
opportunists
who are positioning themselves for appointment.
No.
After.
Now this is
and I assure you,
Honorable Semuju, what you do now?
I'm about to finish. I'm about to finish a small booklet about Parliament.
Shadow Minister
nearly 12 years.
No, that doesn't matter.
MPs like Omona even have problems coming back to Parliament.
What do you mean?
You saw what happened to Hope Mwesig.
Yes.
Because for them they come to serve one person. But people who elected you, Dr. Omona,
let me also say
they are very happy with what you are doing.
Let me say it very
clearly.
Let me say it very clearly. Recently, I've just come up from a constituency, and let me tell this to Semuju.
Yes.
That in my constituency, we look at critical issues that
people
we think can improve the income of the people, develop my constituency. We have just finished the rehabilitation of a power line to Kaberamaido. We have
who?
Kaberamaido people. We are Kaberamaido district.
So you fundraised and you are.
No, this is what as you spend time, we also spending our time.
No, I want to know because I remember my people is to appropriate
yes.
By the way, is it a community?
And that's what the prefect is saying. We the people of Kaberamaido. We now have a milk collection center.
Milk collection center.
Yes.
Yes,
we now want to see how we can begin to promote and improve milk production in Kaberamaido. We now have a modern fish hatchery in Kaberamaido. These are very, very important for my people. As Honorable Semuju talks here, maybe in this course of this 1 year, he also tell us what great thing has happened to the people of your constituency. But that's still and done.
No, you see.
Listen.
Can you imagine that
you don't have
what you're doing is not your job.
Now this you kind of people want to as a member of Parliament, I don't have to use my money to develop my constituency. Yes. I must be very keen in following up issues of development in my constituency. Yes. And this is exactly what I do. I don't have to spend my money, Honorable Semuju. Yes. So this is what has happened in my constituency. And this is the reason my people will be happy with me.
And they love you so much.
And they love me. Honorable Semuju. If I don't come back to Parliament because of this position, what kind of mistake? What kind of mistake? With this government in this one? No, in fact, no, I don't deserve that. I want a doctor like me.
Because you are now talking about the work that would need to be done by government.
So what's the member of Parliament there? My work is following up with issues of development in my constituency.
All right.
And actually, as I talk now, Honorable Semuju, we are looking forward upgrading of my health center to a hospital.
Oh.
Now, tell me,
Kaberamaido. That's in the town or somewhere outside?
No, actually within town council. Right. And actually, we are now following up with government to make sure that we have now a waterborne vessel that will be connecting Kaberamaido and the side of Busoga. And as talk now, I want to tell Honorable Semuju that the route survey has already been done. The vessel design is over. Government should now look for 29.5 billion shillings to build such a vessel that will connect Kaberamaido to Busoga. Yes. Honorable Semuju, I am very
me and you, Honorable Omona.
No, let me ask you.
I am a national leader. The last time I went to Teso, I started in Jinja, I was in Mbale, I was in Toro.
You are not going to imitate I'm going to show you how my people
you are reporting about your constituency, okay, there, and that's why I said,
you are saying I made a mistake. I am fine about that.
The last time I was looking at maybe you, because I went to
setting your character can never become an MP in my constituency.
Of course, I
don't need you.
If the qualification for you is to go, I will show you. I am a national leader, and for
Okay, let's move on. Honorable Omona, let's look at what's likely to happen in Chamkwanzi. Do we know if MPs are going to be reprimanded or even expelled?
No, as far as the Chamkwanzi is concerned. Now, I want our listeners to understand that it is the practice in the NRM that regularly we meet as members of NRM, trying to review our activities, see how we are fulfilling our commitments, our promises to the people of Uganda, and this is what we have been doing. Last year, around about the same time, we're in Chamkwanzi, and there's actually a lot of learning there. We get presentations from technical people from different ministries. I mean, this is important for leaders, that they get to understand how governments run, how we plan for development, and how us as people of the NRM, entrusted by the people of Uganda for these 5 years, should carry our activities to the expectation of Ugandans. Now, this is what we do there. It is not, as others want to put it, that going to Chamkwanzi is meant to reprimand members. Well, but also as a community of NRM, it may come up to look at the conduct of members. It may come back, but it is not purposed for that and not limited to that. It is a regular.
Your background pack, you're supposed to travel tonight.
Exactly. No, we're traveling tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yes, we're traveling tomorrow.
Tomorrow, Friday.
Yes. This was done a long time. Okay, this is the routine. This is our regular activities.
More than a week ago.
No, not just a week. This was planned last year. Yes, that around this time we will have a retreat in Chamkwanzi. And Chamkwanzi, not necessarily for NRM. Right. It is an institution that even Honorable Semuju's, I would advise, should request government so that they also take advantage of that facility.
Right.
Yes.
Honorable Semuju, supposing Rebecca Kadaga, the Speaker, Honorable, summons Parliament during the 10 days when these people are bull roasting and learning things in Chamkwanzi, what's likely to happen?
Members of Parliament have a duty to attend Parliament. If they choose to go and attend an meeting and don't attend Parliament, it will be their business. But the way Parliament functions, you can debate and delay the making of decisions if you don't have the quorum. It does not matter. Even if I have seen Parliament when there are only 12 MPs, even when they are not in Chamkwanzi. So if the Speaker decides to follow the Constitution and she summons Parliament, some of us will be there to debate. If at the time of making a decision, because there are players who are making that petition, we don't have a quorum, the taking of a decision might be delayed, like it has been the case in earlier cases. But talking about this NRM meeting, coincidentally, as they are preparing to go, the Chief Whip issues a 2-page letter to about 5 MPs, including Honorable Sechko, including Honorable, and he says action must be taken. I know even within Cabinet they have discussed it, that they can no longer have these kind of MPs in Parliament. NRM is a party in crisis. Because
why do you make such a strong statement?
Because majority, I think a good number, not necessarily a majority, a good number of NRM MPs are as concerned with what is going on in the country as the opposition. And that's why they have signed the petition demanding for the recall of Parliament. Chamkwanzi, I have gone to Chamkwanzi before. There is a little bit of change. I was there in 2003 when I was still working for the Monitor. And in that Chankwan's meeting, you had two kind of scenarios. You had people like Major General Mugisha Muntu, still part of the movement, who spoke and actually made the president make a U-turn on the removal of presidential term limits. He actually said we should now set up a committee to study this matter, then we'll come back and discuss it. But you also had opportunistic tendencies, people were extremely opportunistic, including Gilbert Bukenya, Baguma Isoke, Daud Migereko, who mobilized the district chairpersons of NRM to come and chorus that for us, we want two things in this meeting. Interestingly, and when I sit down to write a book, I hope I'll live to do it. All the memoranda coming from the districts in that Chankwan's meeting of 2003 had one paragraph in common. Majority of us don't want parties to come. Majority in every memoranda.
Yes.
But since the majority have said, then I ask him, who are the majority? In every memoranda you have, I mean, for us in Masaka, we are not interested, but since the majority.
Right.
So I can see two things happen. It's going to be a purge, certainly. There is no doubt about it.
Chankwan's is a purge?
It's just about
5 or 7 members.
It's just about that. The last time the Nserekos went there, these Omonas were shouting them down. I'm told Anifaka even wanted Strip to go and kick them. So, and by the way, even as I speak to you now, there has been a meeting by Amama Mbabazi's wife. I don't know whether Omona attended, but he attended one of the first lady when we are debating in Evan, where she instructed them to come and heckle down Wayomus not to present a report.
Well, okay.
He attended that meeting. So even now they have had a meeting that when you go to Chankwan's, we do two things. We must move that we sponsor a vote of no confidence in the speaker and the commissioner. So they are not going to Chankwan's, they are not up to something good.
Right.
They are just going there to promote, shout down those who not agree with them like they usually do in Parliament.
Let's talk about something else. Today you address Parliament. You're talking about poison. Why do you talk about poison? What was the context of that press conference with the Honorable Namboze? You see,
our demand and prayer in that particular press conference was that as a country we have not given enough attention to the poison scare. Because you see the president moved with his own chair.
What would you like us to do?
The president moved with his own chair, his own toilet and the kitchen. He has now literally withdrawn his daughter to come and become head of catering for his own safety.
That is probably not true. All his children are married. Happily married.
She gets a public salary for doing that work at State House, and that's why it is not a private matter. I remember when I was still in Monta, he said he can't take his children to Morago for delivery because he thinks they are going to be killed. So the vice president the other day was right to hospital. He said he feared he had been poisoned.
You want to inquire?
The speaker of parliament recently said she was about to be killed. You have members of parliament, including Hussein Chanjo, who the doctors said they suspect he might have been poisoned. Honorable Namboze was from South Africa fearing he had been poisoned. The Honorable Major General Mugisha Muntu and Honorable Ben Wacha lodged the complaint with the Speaker of Parliament saying someone wanted to poison them from the parliamentary canteen. So he said this matter will kill the economy. First of all, hotels are not functioning well. Even at the canteen itself, at the parliamentary canteen, where we usually go and have meal and tea and everything. I am now fearing. I don't think
it's busy.
I don't think I'll ever take tea from my parliamentary committee meetings. It is that serious. The other day I went to the Winton Road to have lunch with honorable members of parliament.
Yes.
And Honorable Saraso preferred buying a biscuit and water from a supermarket. So MPs are now, instead of going to hotels, they are going to supermarkets for their meals. Right. So we think this is a matter where we must conduct an inquiry to establish the extent.
We have to go. Let's hear from our listeners. This is Spectrum. You can call it now. Our number 0414-348-111, 0312260390, 0312261390. When you call in, please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hello?
Yes, your name?
I'm called Businje.
Yes, Mr. Businje.
I'm so much grateful to that gentleman called Kenneth Semuju. He is the ideas and he reviewed up the country. Back to Dr. Omona. Really, your children are going to blame you. After this government has gone, your children will have to blame you. Secondly, you need really to think about those things. You are saying when you go to Chankwan's, it's okay. When they convince parliament to spend the money. I will spend the money. In fact, in Chankwan's, you spend more money than in the parliament. Thank you very much.
Spectrum, hello?
To the man.
Yes.
Today is saying Dr. Omona is confusing the issue of Jaguars as a religion. Because I would like to ask him, the last time they were in Jaguars, they didn't even object to the president. If they had gone in for, I thought they had gone in for a panel to participate in the constructive discussion. But they passed, there are only 21 resolutions in the caucusing of Jaguars. But I want to ask him, how many of those resolutions they have passed from Jaguars has been ever implemented? Unlike coming from Jaguars, nothing is fruitful.
Spectrum, hello.
Yes, good evening, Spectrum.
Good evening, sir. Your name?
Yes, my name is Edmond.
Yes, good.
And I want to thank Mona because he's looking like the woman. I want to look at the way somebody is presenting that he's speaking with a lot of anger, he's speaking with a lot of presentation. I imagine if there have been studies which never here, where Semuju would be. Because we want an organized competition, we don't want to bring hatred and commotion and banging and prayers. I am going from Semuju. But the woman is doing good work. When you look at Semuju, he's doing nothing. He's controlled actually. Look at, if you come to Kaberamaido, you find the roots that are coming there. The next people, the issue is more that even when you look at the thing that is being done, that has been done in place, so I think somebody should check his life because those are not the wicked and the working people that will cause intervene in our country.
All right. Spectrum, hello. Hello. Yes?
This is Lawrence from Congo.
Please switch off your radio. Your name again?
Lawrence from Congo.
Yes, Lawrence.
Yes. I think this is also going to Jaguars. Has not used it much, and I think it has not used it much to the national benefit. It's more of a party's benefit, and because we must when we come back from there, nothing is implemented. And at the end of the day, we are user because we lose time and we lose the valuable maybe the valuable time that we have mixed with our parliamentarians. So I think they should reduce it and they do something which is beneficial to the nation.
Spectrum, hello. Hello?
Radio?
Yes, sir, your name?
This is Michael speaking.
Yes, Michael.
I think the most unfortunate thing to happen in this country is for the likes of Semuju Nganda to have come to Parliament. You know, he's so optimistic, so backward, he's done nothing in the constituency.
All right, let's keep it civil. Spectrum, hello?
Hello.
Yes, your name? Yes, Honorable Resu.
I think the good discussion that this armed to do on the moderator, I can think of quite unlike the past. But I think they also got derailed. I thought the subject was about the recall of Parliament, and what issue was to inquire with respect to that subject to bureau. The Semuju Nganda, the woman, know very well, and the constituent here in the identity of this constituency stated that the reason for the call, and one of them is that the role of Parliament is being invaded as an executive. My question is, what is the function of Parliament? Not the minimum of the Constitution. That is well spelled out. None of them include investigating criminal activities. That's the role of the executive. So when the late surrender not under died, Parliament has usurped the powers of the executive. They became people who were carrying out the investigation, by taking part of the program. So I think by calling Parliament saying the executive has usurped their powers, they should also check on that particular aspect.
All right.
Secondly,
Yes?
they said the privileges of Parliament have been interfered with. Privileges and immunities of Parliament is in Article 97. And Article 97, Clause 1, specifically determines the set of privileges which Parliament should specify. And you find that such privileges are quite clear. For example, when a member of parliament is going to parliament or leaving parliament, should not be arrested or should not be subject to police interference or any other form of interference. And also when you go in parliament, anything outside parliament is the responsibility of a member as an ordinary citizen of this country. So, the arrest of those members of parliament who they say were arrested, I would like to know from Honorable Semuju whether those people were arrested within the precincts of parliament, that's one. Two, if the statement they made
All right.
within the confines of parliamentary.
Okay.
In that way, they were recorded in many answers anywhere.
Okay, all right.
We made that possible.
Okay, all right. Let's get back to the studio. All right. Our time cuts us short. Honorable, we'll have to drop you. Thank you very much. Honorable Kenneth.
Thank you. I want to thank you very much, callers. Honorable Rest, actually, those who are mentors.
He was in the CA.
He was in CA. Was a very great debater. And I want to thank him very much, and thank him also for the education he has given us on this show. I don't have anything very good to add on Honorable Resu's contribution. But back to Lawrence Tungo, he raises very pertinent issues about what benefit does the retreat in Chamkwazi bring to the country. I want to tell Lawrence that it is important that those who are managing the affairs of the country, like the NRM, should find time to sit together, review their action, their activities for the good of the country. It's good not only for NRM, but good for the country. And I would also propose that other parties begin to do the same, get time to reflect on their priorities and see how they can plan well. Then there's the second caller who was saying we have never had time to object. I think something like that, object the president's proposal. I think I didn't get very clear there.
Well,
but
you also said you
it is true.
Resolutions the last
Yes, I want to appreciate his contribution particularly on that one. Now, this one the thing that we want to begin to ask the party. The last time in Chamkwanzi, it is true, a number of resolutions were passed, and actually there are even other resolutions passed in the earlier retreats. Now, when you get there, we want to begin to follow up those resolutions, which are actually very, very good. How far have our party fulfilled those resolutions? These are kind of follow-ups we must actually be doing. So actually, this is what is going to take us to Chamkwanzi, to review and see what we've agreed upon, how much have we achieved. It is this kind of reflection that we need to be having when we get to this retreat. This is very, very important.
Honorable Semuju.
The last point that I want to make, and I don't have to answer any of I take the contribution of those who have called, include maybe one of Honorable Eresu. One of the work of members of parliament functions, especially when you're exercising oversight, you don't only come and plead and demand for services in your own constituency. The last trip I made before we broke off was in Mbale. There is a water project, and I sit on the Committee of National Economy, which scrutinizes loans. There is an improvement that the government is suggesting. We went to Mbale, we went to Udaka, we went to all the districts there. Because national programs must not be dished out as a way of patronizing the population. That because you are an MP, optimistically there is a power line being constructed in your area, you go following and claiming you have brought it.
No, we must monitor.
There are roads that are done in my constituency. Monitor. I am not UNRWA. My job is to pass money to UNRWA, they do the roads.
Including
the northern bypass, including Chinawataka.
Monitoring
you will not find me correcting people that have brought a road here. That is not my duty.
Did you bring the northern bypass?
Exactly. So when you see members of parliament
going
that road,
we monitor
following projects personally and then
we must
trying to claim credit, I will not do it.
No, we must monitor.
Because you see,
we must
the monitoring is not in my constituency. I have told you, since I joined parliament, I have been to Western Nile, I have been to Mbara. The last time we went to Mbara, we had gone to check on Nyakaita Road, Nyakaita Ivan, the one that goes through Ruakitura.
You are lying.
I don't represent that area.
On roads.
The last time, I don't know, maybe on your committee, you don't even go to committee work.
I don't have committee work.
We have a role to improve Murago and all regional fire hospitals. I went to Soroti and found someone had died there as a result of neglect. We're in Mbale, we're in Tororo. That's the work of Parliament. When MPs become preoccupied with attaining their seats and think that their job is to go and patronize people they represent, actually they will not get the services. Because once we ensure that government, people who work in government don't steal the money, like the one of bicycle, like the one of ID, you have done your job as a member of Parliament. That's why there are administrative centers from LC1, LC3, local government. For an MP to transform yourself into an LC5 councillor following up projects and you are there claiming credit, this country needs players.
Maybe that's your conspiracy, but that doesn't happen in ours. Ours is monitoring programs of government, and that's part of our work.
Effective representation.
Exactly.
I monitor national programs.
We have to go. Thank you very much, Nida Chiagas. Honorable Ibrahim Semuju Nganda, Shadow Minister for Information and National Guidance. Thank you for coming to Spectrum tonight. Honorable Dr. Kenneth Omona, Kaberamaido County MP, member of the NRM team against recalling Parliament. Thank you for tuning in. I've been your host, Edmond. Stay tuned for the news up next. Spectrum will be back tomorrow. Good evening.
My greatest music hit of all time